some great ideas, to reduce the amount of pruning, especially if you're building a new landscape. So take for instance, planting some of these lower growing shrubs that only need to be pruned once or twice, once a year or once every 2 years. Here's a podocarbus called Wheeler's Dwarf. Pittosporum called Wheeler's Dwarf. This is a great shrub, only getting around 2 to 3 feet tall. You got that low window, you don't want to prune anymore, plant these type. It takes a little bit more time to figure out what's going on, and there's a lot less of them available. But yeah, you're pulling out your landscape every 10 years because they've gotten so huge, they look raggy. Plant these plants and they'll just grow to that perfect shape. Here's a great addition, the drift rose. A lot of these drift roses are low growing, where, hybrid tea roses would get big, the knockouts get gigantic after a couple seasons.
And less thorny.
Yeah, and this thing stays around 2 feet tall. You can get all these at Ace Hardware. They have a great selection. Here's a gardenia that only gets around 2 to 3 feet tall. They can get, gardenias need a lot of pruning, but this is dark green foliage, has the same size flower, all the fragrance that other gardenias have. Plant this along the walkway. You could sub this as a boxwood or even a foundation planting. We were talking about a great looking plant. I've always admired this plant. It's called a crepe myrtle.
Can't believe that.
This is a crepe myrtle that only gets around 2 foot tall. I saw it in North Carolina at the J.C. Ralston Arboretum, and just unbelievable foundation shrub. Has the same purple flowers, beautiful, rich looking foliage, and never have to prune this one. This one never needs to be pruned. Once in a blue moon, once every 10 years, Here's a boxwood, you want a boxwood that never needs to be pruned. This is Grace Hendricks Phillips. This shrub, if you can see the diameter of the trunk, is probably around 15 years old. So that's how much it's grown. So, they're more expensive because they're slow growing, but they're going to relieve you of that pruning. So if you save 100 hours a year or 80 hours a year, that's definitely worth it. Less stuff to drag to the trash, There's also azaleas. Here's an azalea, Chinzen azalea, that's a great azalea. I've had these in the landscape 5-6 years and never put a pruning shear on them. So there's lots of great ideas.
What about this one? This is my favorite, the Japanese
maple. You can grow them as a low-growing tree, a shrub. It never needs to be pruned. Put it up by your patio if you have a small garden or a patio home or something you want a little bit of shade. This tree will do it. And, it's a slow grower, so you don't have to worry about it, overcoming the landscape space. This is another one. You thought it was wax myrtle, but it's euonymus, and this is a golden euonymus. Again, it's been in this container to get to that size. I've grown it for 5 years. So there's a lot of great ideas, to reduce the amount of labor, reduce the amount of pruning in your landscape and enjoying your landscape more.
Yeah, these are beautiful plants. My grandmother had one of these, and that was one of my favorites.
They're a fine plant.
They are.
Here's another one. Here's a great one. Crepe myrtle, another crepe myrtle, 2 to 3 feet tall. And then people have these monstrous, Loropetalum, that get 10 feet, 12 feet. Here's one that stays really compact, 2 to 4 feet, easy to take care of, never touch it.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for coming in this morning. We appreciate it. These beautiful plants. And for more information about gardening,